We are rolling. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the kitchen table. You guys know me. I'm Kenny D. You know what I'm about. I hope you guys, first of all, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the bell, get the notifications, smash that subscribe button. Check me out on Instagram at the Kitchen Table 59. Check me out on TikTok at the Kitchen Table 59 and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Need more subscribers. Need more likes. Need more comments. Thanks, brothers, for supporting me, the firemen, building a little bit of a community. So let's keep it going. I had a great episode last week. Spoke to Lou Morales, author of Brooklyn Skinhead. So if you haven't already, check out that interview. The guy's got an amazing life, amazing story. Check out his book on Amazon, Brooklyn Skinhead on Amazon. It's only like $14.99, paperback, real easy read. Check it out. So thanks to Lou Morales for sitting down with me. Everybody I seem to try to talk to, you know, sometimes busy. I get it. I understand. Having trouble finding guests or keeping guests. Everybody wants to talk, but nobody has the time, and I understand it, and it's all good. We'll figure it out. But today I want to talk about something a little off topic. I don't usually get into this stuff, but I'm going to today. The FDNY hired a new commissioner, and his name is Robert Tucker. He is replacing Laura Kavanaugh, who only did, 2-3 years maybe. She couldn't hack it. So what happened was, the beginning of the end for her was when, at the promotion ceremony, when they introduced Letitia James, who got booed unmercifully. I was not there, so I can't tell you how bad it was, but a friend of mine who did get promoted that day was telling me, and he was pretty upset about it. Now, listen, when I first heard about it, I was like, fucking boo. Do what you got to do. You boo for a couple of seconds and then you get over it. And that's that. And let it talk and let the guys get promoted and let the ceremony go on. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, man. Boo, go ahead. Do what you got to do, brothers. Guys are going to do whatever they want. Those promotion ceremonies they're pretty wild. Guys used to bring horns and we got all banners up and we yell and scream. And it's pretty cool. This promotion ceremonies are pretty good. But this booing thing, again, I was like, this is just part of it. I wasn't there. And when I spoke to my buddy, he was like, dude, they booed for they just wouldn't stop. The whole time she talked for 5 minutes. He might even have said 10 minutes, but I don't know. And he was upset about it. Not that he was upset that, that the guys booed. He was more upset that, you know what, man, the guys, they took away from everybody that got promoted that day. They booed so long that's what people are going to remember. He had to explain to his kids, he has young kids, why they were booing and who they were booing. And they were like, Daddy, these guys really don't like this woman or this person or whatever he explained to them. And he was pretty upset, but he was saying, he was like, I understand you boo, but they just kept it going and kept it going and kept it going. Everybody who got promoted that day, they're going to remember that the rest of their lives. That, oh man, that took away from their moment of getting promoted. They're going to remember that Letitia James was booed unmercifully and it didn't stop. And they had to explain to their families that what happened. So I get it. I understand the booing and I get it, but to keep it on that long and to take away from the brothers that were there, I don't know, kind of fucked up, in my opinion. Maybe the boss, maybe the chief of department should have stepped up and said, and this is what he even said that. He could have stepped up and been like, guys, all right, that's enough. And guys would have listened to him. All right, guys, that's enough. You got it out. Done. The guys would have sat down. That would have been it. That would have been the end of it. But he didn't. So they just kept on going and kept on going and kept on going. Feel how you feel about that woman. I feel how I feel about her. Whatever. I don't approve of her. I don't know. Whatever. That doesn't fucking matter. What matters is the guys booed for so long that it took away from all the guys getting promoted. So think about that next time. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'm a retired guy. My opinion doesn't matter. Nothing that I say in the firehouse matters anymore because I'm retired. Nobody wants to hear from a retired guy. But after talking to my buddy, that's the take I got from it. And kind of fucked up. Again, booing, for a certain amount of time, fine. But keep it going and kind of taken away from the moment of those guys getting promoted and their families being there. Kind of messed up. And then, nobody's stepping up and saying anything at that time to put an end to it. Anyway, that was the beginning of the end for Kavanaugh. Laura Kavanaugh has been the fire commissioner for a couple of years. She went around, I think she tried her best. She went around to every firehouse, sitting with the guys and the girls, just to see what was going on and trying to get a feel for things. But she wasn't a fireman. So now this guy, Robert Tucker, who is probably more closely related to the fire department than she was, he's the CEO of T&M USA Private Security Company. He is he went to law school at Pace University. His early days, he worked for the FDNY in the communications department. I don't think he was a dispatcher because it would have said he was a dispatcher, but he must have been, I don't know, maybe in the office or something like that. He worked in the communications department. And what else? What else did he do? He served as a member of the Committee on Character and Fitness for the 9th Judicial District of the New York State Supreme Court. It reviews potential candidates for legal licenses and served as chairman of the New York State Security Guard Advisory Council until 2021. He's also, what else? He's on the FDNY Foundation Board. So he does have close ties to the FDNY. Apparently, they interviewed him a while back and he was a fire buff. He used to chase fire engines as a kid, but he was never a fireman either. So, this guy, he's a suit. He's a lawyer. And I wish him well. I really do, because the UFA president, Andy Ansborough, gives his stamp of approval. The UFOA, they put out a statement that I saw that they didn't actually approve him, but they're like, oh, we look forward to working with the guy. And, they got to put out that general statement. But these guys got to say that stuff because, they want to have a good relationship with him. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see if this guy is going to work out or not. But that's wherein lies the problem, I think. They need to hire people who have been firemen, who are now retired, or they're chiefs, or they've worked their way up the ranks. They need to hire people that have been in the firehouse, that have sat at the kitchen table, that have drilled with the guys, that have been down the hallway, that knows what it's like to be on the fire floor, to put your life in danger, to feel the heat and the smoke and put the fire out, and sit at the table with the guys and hear all their bitching and all their complaints, all the rank and file guys. Going to the firehouse, one firehouse at a time, and having lunch or sitting and having a cup of coffee, you're not going to get, the guys are going to be respectful. They're not going to tell you exactly what's going on and what they need and what they feel should be happening. They might, maybe now that it's a guy, but Ms. Kavanaugh, they probably wouldn't, might try and be respectful about it. But for really, when you sit at the kitchen table, guys, just everything flies. Everything flies. And guys are still guys, and they're still going to have respect for a woman. So they probably, I know when she came to our firehouse, the guys were like, nah, she seems all right. But nobody really said anything like bad, like really, really questioned her on stuff. Maybe this guy, if he does the same thing, who knows? Because he's a guy, who knows what he's going to say. But I really, truly believe, and no offense to this guy, Mr. Tucker, that I think the commissioners of the fire department need to have been firemen at some point in their life, especially FDNY firemen. I mean, if you get somebody from Podunk, fucking Indiana or whatever, I don't know, become a fire commissioner, he's not going to understand the New York City Fire Department. He's not going to understand the guys that are in the firehouse, that are doing a thing every single day, the rank and file members and all their bitches and all their complaints and what they think is wrong with the job, what they think is good with the job. So that's my personal opinion. I'm pretty sure most of the guys feel kind of that way. But hey, this is who they hired. They got to give him a chance. We'll see how he does. Everybody's, the uniform guys, the UFA guys, the union guys are, they're giving him their approval. They're saying, oh, it's going to be great to work with him. Can't wait for it. We'll see how that goes. Once it comes time for negotiations and all sorts of other stuff. But good luck, Robert Tucker. If you're not a fireman, you're not going to understand firemen. You're not going to get it. You're just not going to appreciate the banter. You're not going to appreciate the truth, the honesty from firemen, because firemen are the most honest people I know. If you're ugly, they're going to tell you you're ugly over and over and over again. If you're short like me, they remind you every single day. So a commissioner who's a lawyer, who's got a pretty impressive record, who's, whatever, he's closely associated with the fire department, but he's a suit. He's not a fireman. Never was a fireman. He's not a chief who was a fireman. He's not somebody who worked his way up the ranks. He will not understand firemen. No matter what anybody tells him, no matter what any of those chiefs around him tell him, he's not going to understand what it's like to be in the firehouse, at the kitchen table, on the fire floor, going down that hallway. He's not. So I really think the city of New York, in my humble opinion as a retired guy, which doesn't mean shit to anybody anymore, should hire somebody who was a fireman at one point. That's all I'm going to say about that, so they understand the day-to-day operations in a firehouse and what goes on. Speaking of, that's all I'll say about that. And that's all I have to say about that. So speaking of the day-to-day operations in the firehouse, that's kind of what I wanted to get into today. I've been trying to get an interview going, and then a solo, and then an interview, and then a solo, then an interview. And so far this season, it's working out pretty well. Trying to get an interview for next week. Two guys have bailed on me again. What I might do is, my son's going to college in 2 weeks, and I've been wanting to sit him down and talk to him just to kind of have a father-son thing. He's going to take the fireman test. He doesn't really know what he wants to do in life yet, but he is going to take the fireman test in January. He applied for it. And speaking of that, I just saw today that the announcement is still open to the 23rd of August. Why? I don't know. Maybe they didn't get enough people applying that they wanted. I don't know. Whatever. It's still open to the 23rd. Go to DCAS, Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and apply for the New York City Fire Department test. The job needs good people for that job. All right? Go ahead and do that. You got till the 23rd. So you got another 2 weeks. What was I going to say? Itching my underarm. Yeah. Day-to-day operations in the firehouse. I want to keep, because I'm getting a decent amount of firemen following me and supporting me and going on TikTok and subscribing and all that stuff. I really appreciate that. So I'm definitely going to keep the fire stuff going. But as I said before, I want to branch out and speak to anybody who's got a good story. So if you're somebody who's got a good story and something to promote, like a book, like my man Lou did last week, and that was such a great interview. What an interesting life. If you have one of those lives, if you have something going on that you're looking to, fuck it. Hit me up, man. Hit me up. I'm willing to talk to anybody, whether you're a fireman, cop. I'm going to talk to cops. I'm going to talk to military guys. It's also just finding the time. I'm willing to talk to anybody. Anybody who's got an interesting story. Anybody I could sit down with face to face. I really don't want to do that Zoom stuff or whatever. I mean, I might have to in the future to talk to somebody that's I don't know, maybe in California, but I really think sitting face to face with somebody is the best way to go. You get a good rapport with them. It's genuine. It's open. It's honest. You can just, have a better feel for the conversation than when you're sitting in front of them. And I feel like I give them more respect. They give me more respect by in-person interviews. Anyway, day-to-day operations in the firehouse. Let's see if we can do this quick. I don't want this video episode to be too long. I tend to talk too much. Anyway, the New York City Fire Department has 2 tours, and they're tours, boys. They're not shifts. In the city of New York, they're tours, and it's in the firehouse, not a fire station. All right, boys, I don't know where you guys are, but in the New York City Fire Department, we call it a firehouse, and we call them tours. We have 2 tours. We have a 9x6 tour. That's 9 in the morning till 6 at night, and a 6x9 tour, 6 at night till 9 in the morning. We are part of a 25-number group schedule, a group chart, we call it. We have a calendar, and each day has a different set of numbers on it, 6 numbers for the day tour and for the night tour. So normally what you do is you work 2, this is the normal schedule, 2 day tours on, 9x6x, day tour, 2 days off, 2 night tours on, 6x9, 6x9. Then you have 2 days off. Sometimes you have 3 days off. What we can do, because everybody's assigned a group number, right? And then usually assign somebody opposite you that all those numbers line up all the time in your group chart. So you can swap tours and do a 24-hour tour, have 2 or 3 days off, do a 24-hour tour, have 2 or 3 days off, do a 24-hour tour. They're called mutual, so they're called 24s. That's what we call them. And that works out really well. You end up being at the firehouse 3 times a week usually, and that's not including overtime rosters or anything like that. So anybody who tells you that this is the best part-time job in the world is full of shit, because we're at the firehouse more than anybody who works normal hours somewhere else. We're always at the firehouse doing something. And most guys have a second job that they work 24 hours in the firehouse, go work 2 days of their side job, go back to the firehouse 24. So anybody who thinks, any cop who thinks this is the best part-time job in the world, it's not true. It's the best job in the world, but it ain't part-time at all. Anyway, so say you're coming in for a 9x tour. If you're going to be a fireman, you're going to be a New York City fireman, or if you're a new fireman, you're a probie. If you plan on being a fire department, I'm going to give you some tips of what the day-to-day operations are. If you say you're coming in for a 9x tour, right? Every tour you're required by the guys to be there minimum 1 hour early. So if your tour starts at 9, new guys, what time are you supposed to be there? 8, minimum. I used to get there 3 hours before. I live upstate now. I had to drive into Harlem. I would leave at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, get to the firehouse by 6, go to the bathroom, get a workout in, showered, down at the kitchen table, relieving somebody before 8 o'clock. Every 9x tour. You can ask anybody, for the most part. But that's what you're supposed to be at minimum. Be at the tour, at the firehouse 1 hour before your tour starts. And that includes the night tour as well. So if your night tour starts at 6, you got to be there at 5 minimum. I used to get there 4 o'clock. There's some guys that used to get there even earlier than me. It's crazy. That's what you have to be. That's just minimum. What else? You get to the firehouse early. As soon as you walk in the firehouse door, you check the riding schedule, no matter what time it is, and you see who's riding. And you look to relieve somebody. If nobody's up, if it's a day tour, nobody's awake, the first thing you do is you put your gear by the rig. Walk in, put your gear by the rig, right? Your boots, your helmet, your jacket by the rig. So this way, if a run comes in, you could come down, no matter what you're doing, and relieve somebody and try and take that run in. Because guys got families. Guys might want to go home. Guys might have to go to side jobs, whatever. You check the riding list. You see who's riding, see who you can relieve. If there's any details, if there's somebody working outside your firehouse, in your firehouse, they get relieved first. Unless there was something worked out before, the night before, that guy gets relieved first, whether he's in the engine or the truck. Most houses are now engine and truck. There's still a few single engines out there, and they get details as well. But if you're a new guy coming in, the first thing you look at on the riding list is if there's any details in the engine or the truck. If there's a detail and you're the first one in, you better relieve that guy. If the run comes in and you're working out, or if you're doing something else and nobody relieves that guy and they go on a run and you were in the firehouse, you're gonna be in trouble. That's no good. You better relieve that guy no matter what you're doing. Plenty of times I've been in the firehouse working out and there's details, or somebody had to leave early and the tones go off and I run out to the rig in the middle of a workout or middle of a shower or middle of going to the bathroom, and you got to relieve that guy. That's just the gentlemanly thing to do. That's the right thing to do. Period. The end. Do it. As a new guy, when you come in, you go into the kitchen, make a pot of coffee. I'm talking day tours now. Make a pot of coffee. Even if nobody's in there, make sure the dishwasher's empty. Make a pot of coffee. Go up. You know, if you got some time on, you can go work out, take a shower, go to the bathroom, come down, hang out in the kitchen, and be ready to ride. Be dressed and ready to ride. As a new guy, as a guy with some time on, you know what to do. So 9 o'clock comes, or 8 o'clock comes, you check the rig. All right? This is my firehouse. This should be most firehouses in the city of New York, I'm pretty sure. You know, things vary from house to house, I'm sure, times, this and that, but everything generally is the same. So if you do something different in your firehouse, hit me up in the comments, or let me know that I'm a douchebag and I'm doing it wrong and your firehouse does it better, because I'm sure that's what'll happen. And that's all good, brothers. But 8 o'clock, we check the rig, right? The back step of the rig, the hoses, the mast, all your tools, all your equipment, check the rig. After that, if you're a new guy, fucking clean something, do something, keep moving around. Check this, check that, make 9 o'clock comes, change of toys now, right? 9 o'clock comes, the engine chauffeur will check the engine. At least in my files, we'll start the engine, we'll go over the engine, check all the pumps, You get some new guys with you. They want to, some young guys with you, they want to see the pumps going and the gauges and stuff like that. You do a little drill with them for sure. Our truck, 30 truck would check the saws, start the saws at 9 o'clock. Then they would pull the rig out. The guys would get in their gear. They'd put the stick up. They'd throw portable ladders. This is all at 9 o'clock. Boom. And we're running street drills basically from 9 to like 9:30, sometimes later. So after street drills are over, after they check the rigs, after the two chauffeurs check the rigs at 9 o'clock, pull the rigs back in. Sometimes we'll wash the rigs. Sometimes, if it's shitty out, we won't. But a lot of times in the nice weather, we wash the rigs a lot. In the wintertime, we wash the rigs a lot too because of all the snow and the sand, salt. So you come back in, as soon as street drills are over, you got to do committee work. Committee work is when you go into the bunk rooms and you change all the sheets and you clean the bathrooms and you clean the kitchen and you clean the apparatus floor. It's called committee work. You're just basically cleaning the firehouse as best you can for that tour. Change all the sheets everywhere, look in the back rooms. You know, one thing in the firehouse guys do is they stay hydrated, so they're always drinking water, and there's cups all over the place because we run our balls off, and guys drinking water, and they leave their cups down. So you have to run around a firehouse as a new guy and picking up all the cups. It's a pain in the ass, but think of the movie Signs when the little girl would drink a sip of water and put the cup down. I mean, there were cups everywhere. Our firehouse, there were cups everywhere, every day. But that's a good thing because guys would stay hydrated. If you're a fireman, you better stay hydrated. Drink a lot of water because that job with all that gear on and walking up those flights of stairs is going to dehydrate you unbelievably. Unbelievably. Just ask that lieutenant that was at that job that I was telling you about last time. You will be dehydrated very, very quickly. All right, so you do committee work. Now, if you have an engine and a truck in a firehouse, 1 month the engine has the meals, the next month the truck has the meals. And whatever company is not in the meals, that means when I say in the meals, that means they have to go get the meal, right? The other company is in the house watch. They cover all the watches for that month. From, say, February, the engine is in the watches. You just cover all the watches. The truck goes out and gets the meal. When the truck comes back from getting the meal, everyone helps, not just the truck. The senior guy will usually be sent to the house watch to sit on the house watch because somebody always has to be on the house watch to answer the phone, to turn out the companies for a job or a call, a run. We don't really call them calls. We call them runs. So somebody's got to be sitting on the watch while the rest of the guys make the meal. After the meal, you eat usually we always ate around 1 o'clock. I mean, and I'm only doing this stuff without any runs in the mix because we averaged about 17 runs in 24 hours. I've done as little as 5 and as many as like 33 runs in a 24-hour tour. I'm not even counting runs right now. I'm just counting day-to-day operations. So help out with the meal, cook the meal, sit down, and eat at around 1 o'clock. So you eat, the guys break bread, we have a good time eating, probably going on a couple runs, finish eating, clean the kitchen. After you clean the kitchen, usually around 1:45, 2 o'clock, you're supposed to drill at 2 o'clock in the firehouse. 1,400 hours you're supposed to drill. If there's a lot of young guys, get a drill going. If even the senior guys, you should always have a drill going. You should drill all the time in a firehouse if you're young. Just read something, drill something, ask the senior guy to go over something. But at 1,400 hours is supposed to be an official drill where the bosses are involved. If the boss wants to come down with a drill and just read something, or we watch a video, or I always like hands-on stuff. I especially liked it when new guys got to the firehouse because we'd throw them, a blacked out face piece and run them around the firehouse, making them follow hose and stuff like that. It was great stuff. It's always great to keep sharp with that stuff, especially if you're a company that doesn't run a lot or go to a lot of jobs and you don't have a lot of fire experience. Run those drills constantly. Make it muscle memory. Do it so much where you can do it in your sleep, where all you're thinking about is what you do in this scenario, what you do in that scenario. You got to constantly keep thinking on this job. It's a thinking man's job. It's a physical job, yes. Absolutely. You have to be in shape, and you owe it to your brothers. You owe it to the city. You owe it to the people that you're serving to be in shape. You owe it to yourself and your family to be in shape. If you come on this job and you're not in shape, you're wrong, brother. You got to get in shape. You got to be in shape for this job. Period. The end. I'm not going to go into it. There's a lot of cool-ass Instagram pages that are really into fitness and stuff like that, and they're totally right. You have to be fit. I'm not saying you got to be an Adonis. I'm not saying you got to be an Olympic athlete, but you need to be fit. You need to be able to carry all that weight on your back. You need to be able to climb all those flights of stairs. You need to be able to do the job after doing all that stuff. Period. The end. Because if you're not, you're a liability. You're an asset or a liability. You want to be an asset? Be into the job. Be fit. Learn the job. You're going to make mistakes. Absolutely. But be teachable. Don't be some slob who is not in shape, who doesn't give a fuck about the job, who doesn't care. You're a liability. You're putting everybody else in danger, especially your brothers. All right? That's what I'm going to say about that. So you throw drilling, 1,400 hours. It's written in the book, in the House Watch book. After that, after 1,400 hours, it's usually around 3 o'clock, you kind of start disappearing in the firehouse. Some guys will get a workout in. Some guys will go study. Some guys will watch a movie. Some guys will play video games. Some guys will, go take a nap somewhere. And that's kind of how it goes after the drills at 2 o'clock for guys with time on. If you're a junior guy, you are still moving, or you're sitting in the house watch or the kitchen and you're reading something, or you're going over something, or you're cleaning something. The sheets have to be done every day. If those sheets aren't done by the end of the 9x tour, you know who's in trouble? The junior guy. So be on top of that. But there's always something to do in the firehouse as a junior guy. But that's kind of how it goes. Excuse me. So from like 3 o'clock to like 4:30-ish, when guys start showing up for the night tour, is quiet time almost. But in busy firehouses, there's really never any quiet time. But that's kind of when the quiet time's supposed to be, like around 3 o'clock to like 4:30, because guys start showing up at 4:30. 4:30, you start getting up and you want to start hanging out, getting 5 o'clock, going to the kitchen, start having coffee, start breaking balls with the guys. If you're working a night tour, you get the night crew coming on and, you're just having fun. And then the night tour is, again, you're supposed to be there a minimum 1 hour before. So get there at 5 o'clock. Night tour is basically the same thing. You start at 6 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, you check in the rigs, right? The back step of the rigs. At 6 o'clock, the chauffeurs will check the rigs again. Their rigs, they'll turn the pumps on, they'll turn the ladders on, They may pull the rigs out of quarters. That's when the chauffeurs do it at the hour. They'll start the saws again. After that, you go in the kitchen, you help out with the meal. 6:30-ish, you start cooking the meal. And then usually by 6, you're done at 6:30. Some guys, we used to, when I first got there, we were eating at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Very late. Now, so many new guys and so many guys are more into health and fitness, which I really loved, is we started eating early. I liked eating early, like between 8 and 9 o'clock. Usually 9 o'clock is a good time to eat in the firehouse. I still think that's too late. Like I don't eat at 9 o'clock now. I eat at like 5 o'clock, 5:30 now. Maybe I get the early bird special at 3 o'clock now at the fucking, whatever, at the Cracker Barrel. But anyway, after drills, after you check the rig, after you start the saws at 6 o'clock, you come in the kitchen, you start helping out with the meal. And then you're usually eating by 9 o'clock in my firehouse. Other firehouses are different. I know that. What else? After the meals, guys it's kind of like, there's no committee work to be done. I mean, the junior guy you still got to clean the kitchen. The junior guy is responsible for the dishwasher and a couple other minor shit. But after the meal, guys are like, it's hangout time. It's watch football game. It's play cards. It's play video games. It's watch movies, break balls in the kitchen. And then, fucking rack time. And again, I'm not talking any of the runs that we have involved in this. This is just kind of day to day in the firehouse. If you're a new guy, if you got under a year, you should not be going to bed. You should not be going up to the bunk room before midnight. Period. The end. Some guys will stay up real, real late. And you kind of got to stay up until that guy goes to bed, unless he tells you, go to fuck to bed, bro. But if you're a new guy, don't go to bed before 12 o'clock. And if you're a new guy, in my firehouse, we weren't allowed in the back room, which was like the senior guy room with the movies and stuff like that, until we had first grade firemen, until we had almost 6 years on the job. So the new guys always hung out in the house watch, in the front. Answered the phones, relieved the guy, blah, 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 blah. But don't go to bed, don't go up to the rack until after midnight as a Johnny, as a new guy, all right? In the New York City Fire Department. Again, and if you're a new guy, you better be up first, because guys get in early and guys might want to be relieved, but you got to be up first to make coffee, and all that stuff. Night tours are a lot less going on than the day tours in the fire department, New York City Fire Department. In the firehouse, all right? In the firehouse. So that's the gist of it. So if you are looking to be a fireman, a New York City fireman, if you're going to take the test, that's kind of the gist of the day-to-day operations in a firehouse and what you guys can expect. All right? If I missed anything, which I'm sure I did, hit me up in the comments, brothers. I really appreciate the support. Thanks for all the firemen that are subscribing, liking, commenting. I really, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. I really appreciate it, guys. So remember, more stuff to come. I'm going to try and interview more firemen, but I'm going to try and interview everybody. Anybody who's got a good story, anybody who's interesting, I'm going to try and interview. All right? Once again, it must be true if you heard it at the kitchen table. I'll see you at the big one.